And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman, and we speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon-to-be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. So today I want to speak to you about getting rich. Now, that's just like clickbait. About maybe making a change to make more money, right? Reinventing yourself. Too often I hear people speak to me, you read online, whether it's Facebook, social media, all kinds, you listen to podcasts. People complain. People like to complain that they just don't have enough money. And they don't know how, they're sort of stuck, right? They're stuck in their 9 to 5 job, and they don't know how they can extricate themselves from that situation, right? How can they actually make a little bit more money, or how can they maybe do a 180, right, and make a lot more money? Often people just sit and complain. I think the national pastime, the global national pastime, if there's such a thing, is to complain about your financial situation, right? Oh, I'm doomed to be here. I can't, and when people suggest possibilities that maybe you could do in order to increase your financial situation, make it better, it's always met with questions, right? I can't do that because, well, but people tend to focus on the negative, why they can't do things, and maybe you should spend more time on the positive, how they can do things. So I was reading this post, Money with Katie, okay? And she speaks a little bit about this situation. And she brings a couple of examples I'd like to read because I think they're great. She goes, my friend, we'll call her Bella, graduated from a big state school like me. She studied a similar amalgamation of cons marketing, right? Communications, marketing, advertising, that usually translates to generic job titles, $48,000 starting salaries, and long years spent at agencies living out an unglamorous version of the anti-sex fantasy with fewer chick outfits. But she took a hard left turn and vacated her underpaid agency gig to become a fitness instructor. After only a year or two, she was pulling in nearly $90,000 to teach 2 45-minute classes per day, 6 days a week. She ended up being named the top instructor in our city a few times over in the years that followed, a Lululemon ambassador and a development coach to other instructors, including me. She said, I thought about learning for shockingly high income for roughly 15 hours of work she loved per week. That's interesting. She goes, then she brings another friend. And then she says the final one was her friend, Peyton. She had worked at a local megacorp similar to mine for a couple of years, but when I was doubling down and gunning for a raise that would take me from $53,000 to $60,000 a year, she was leaving her corporate job to join a small business owner as the team's creative director. She earned $100,000 plus equity out of the gate. She goes, I remember leaving a conversation with Peyton one early morning in which she detailed the inner workings of her job, and I couldn't believe how she had sculpted this high-paying role out of thin air that animated her zone of genius so perfectly. As I drove home to get ready for work, the lines on the road lulled me into a sort of hypnosis. I reflected on my rapidly accumulating evidence that maybe my story was blank. I won't fill in the blank. It's a curse word. I don't like that, but okay. I'm old-fashioned, I guess. She then writes, I began to see opportunity differently, which meant I started taking different actions. This was ultimately the awakening that led me to buy a domain for a site called moneywithkatie.com and commit to publishing 2 blog posts for a week for a year. 4 years later, the business has $1.5 million in annual revenue and is responsible for supporting not one, but 2 six-figure incomes. Now, obviously, that's the success story. But the point is, sometimes you have to think out of the box. Maybe it's a side gig, what we call a side hustle. You don't have to leave your steady job and follow some crazy dream that you have, but maybe on the side. We all have time during the day. We complain that we don't, but we always can find time, right? We spend so much time on our phone when we get home, or the TV or Netflix, whatever it is. You know what? You can do a little bit of research during that time, or maybe you can start whatever dream you ever had, try putting that dream into reality. Today with social media, the internet, everything, working from home, you can create your business at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want. I'm not saying that I've got the secret sauce of what you should do. I have no idea what you should do, but I do know that you could be potentially doing more. And ultimately, maybe you could be following your dreams and you don't have to be depressed from your 9-to-5 desk job. Now, certain people enjoy their work. A lot of people enjoy their work. And for them, as we say in Hebrew, kol hakavod, good for you. But for the people out there who are whining and complaining, I hate my job, and they're looking to the other person, how what they're doing, and they're obviously influenced by social media, how the whole world is living greatly except for them, which is a load of what. It's just not true, right? That's a whole fictional world, though. But you can make that change, right? You can change your financial situation. You can change your work situation, but you have to do something. Against complaining gets you nowhere ultimately, right? But doing something, again, on the side, when you're at home, if it's starting an online business or whatever you wanted to do, spend a few hours a day and start doing that. And maybe you can make the switch, or maybe it was a cockamamie idea and doesn't take off, but at least you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you tried. It won't be something that sort of weighs on you when you're, in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s. I should have started X. I should have done it. And I never did it. And it's just like nagging at you. And it's killing you that you never took the plunge. But now you can take that plunge. Again, you don't have to quit your job right away, but if you see that there's potential, if you start making some money, some revenue that's coming in, it's growing, and you're not putting in so much time even, maybe it is worthwhile, quitting and going all in on that job. Obviously, you should think long and hard, speak to a lot of people, maybe some business coaches, consultants, as well, just to make sure that you're analyzing things correctly, but you can do it. And, instead of just complaining, do it. I know people who left jobs, not for nonprofits, and they started, they followed their dreams to be games. They started games. They made all kinds of board games, and they became inventors, and they started other types of games. You can do anything. I know a comedian who created a game and he sold it for millions of dollars. People who decided, all kinds of things, and you never believe what would hit, right? And you don't never believe what wouldn't hit. And ultimately it was a failure, but you know what? They had that satisfaction of knowing that they tried. They didn't sit and complain. They did something. So I know this is a little bit different than the types of content that we usually put out, but I'm just sick of listening to people complaining about their work situation, about their financial situation. Make the change. You can do it. Spend some time on the side when you get home. Turn off the Netflix. Put down your phone, for God's sakes. And do a little bit of research and figure out what it is, what you want to do, and maybe start it on the side. Again, don't go full bore if you've got to, if you've got responsibilities and you've got to make some money. Keep your job and do it on the side, okay? You can do it, just like I gave those examples, right? Just like Katie did it. If Katie can do it, you can do it, okay? You've been tuning into the Aaron Katzman Show. We speak to you about your life, your money, and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.